Interesting thing about New York is that it is perhaps a stark contrast to other states and cities in the US in that they are so sprawling, they're so big, things are spread out, whereas New York, everything's connected, everything is close to each other, and Manhattan itself isn't actually a very big place. And this means that it's very easy to go to lots of different places very quickly. So finally here, in front of Manhattan corner, and yeah, it's quite really cool. It's really cool. And it was brown.
It was brown?
Yes, so the Statue of Liberty was brown, and apparently now it's just eroded and it's green. I think the ferry cruise is definitely a must if you do visit Manhattan. You get some incredible views of both Midtown and the downtown skylines. You also see the Brooklyn skyline. The only thing I would say, when we went in late April, it was very windy and it was actually quite cold. So we're basically now in Midtown and walking to Central Park. It's incredible, like the views are just, those buildings are so huge, like absolutely huge. So we are finally in Central Park. So we've got about 15 minutes to get to that like central lake side, Bethesda Gardens place, right? Yeah, it's like I've seen this before, these places. So, yeah, it's just so, I'm actually here, I can't believe it, it's amazing. Every photo is so Instagrammable. Since I was young, I've always had an obsession with skyscrapers, so it truly was a pleasure to be able to see those massive buildings in Midtown, including Billionaires Row. Later, we walked from Central Park to Times Square, and my gosh, the experience of seeing Times Square for the first time, it was truly visceral. The scale of the buildings, the lights, the screens, it's just so impressive. You know, Piccadilly Circus in London is so tiny. This is the real thing. The lights are so epic. Times Square looks pretty impressive in the day, but at night time, you know, the lights just really shine. And it's interesting because, you know, there's a saying that New Yorkers don't see what other people see in Times Square, but it truly is a special place. Lighting is just so epic, like here, you know, super really, oh, so bright. So I did like a really quick jog today and took the train. The bikes are really fun. They're quite fast as well. One of the most fun experiences I had in NYC was riding the city e-bikes. Firstly, they charged me around $20 for around 55 minutes. But in that 55 minutes, I covered Midtown, I went to Hudson Yard, and I went to Central Park. And my gosh, they are so fun and they are so fast. When you ride the city e-bikes, you can literally zoom through the traffic, and it was so fun. So I had a pretty action-packed morning, and I returned to Queens around 9 o'clock. We later went to visit some family, friends, and cousins in the Bronx, which was interesting and nice to be in. Here's a clip of some crazy guy. I don't know what he's doing. I actually tried to delete this video, but I couldn't. It was stuck in the timeline, so that's why you're seeing it. So this is a place called Gantry Park, and it's really cool. It's east side. The view is definitely very nice. You can see Midtown over there. And this park is really cool. Like, I wish I had my BMX here. You can see the Central Park Billionaires Row Towers. And I think this is also a very popular place where people tend to take like Hollywood style photos. Like, I think New York is just so photogenic. Everywhere you go and you take photos, it's just Instagrammable, I guess. Gantry State Plaza Park has one of the best midtown views, especially when the lighting is just about right and facing the buildings. We later, after going through lots of traffic, headed to the One World Trade Center and finally saw Ground Zero. There's definitely lots of emotions associated with Ground Zero, and one thing I would say is the actual Ground Zero tourist landmark sites. They're really big, like really. This big. Is another pretty cool place as well. Just this whole sort of like area. This is the World Trade Center area. Again, I feel like the video doesn't do justice to how big this place actually feels when you see it in real life. Yeah, this place is absolutely huge. It's actually really big. You couldn't tell it was so big from the outside until you actually come here on the inside. It's just, it goes quite deep below. I genuinely think that Westfield World Trade Center might be one of the best, if not the best, shopping center I've been in my life. The actual architecture of the atrium design is so stunning, and you really feel the space. So we later left Ground Zero and headed back to the Bronx, and of course the night views of the Midtown and downtown skyline are just incredible. I think we have some shots of the Queen sort of skyline over there. And that, I believe, is the UN building. You can see Central Park Tower there. And yeah, really nice nighttime views. On our fourth day in New York, we actually left New York and visited sort of upstate surrounding areas near New York. We went to an area called Bear Mountain. Unfortunately, Bear Mountain was closed, but we did see the surrounding areas. It's very green. It's very reminiscent of Surrey, where we live in the UK. It was definitely very nice for the first time seeing a different side of the America, that is the small towns outside the cities, and it's very reminiscent of towns around Surrey. It definitely seems like an area that people actually live in. So do you like the dinner? Yeah, this is basically sort of what a suburban town looks like in the northeast, I mean, sorry. Because that is kind of cool. I've had that these houses, the like residential areas look kind of cute, I guess. One thing that did catch my attention in the US was the price of groceries. For some reason, I just expected things to be cheaper. Not that they're not cheap enough, just the UK, things are quite reasonably priced. We later headed down back to New York and went to Jackson Heights, the famous Bengali slash multicultural area. So we're basically now once again in Jackson Heights, but this time it's night. So I'm with Takia. Jackson Heights is similar to Southall and East London in that it's very busy. There's so many people, it's very lively. There really is a vibe. As I draw a conclusion to this video, I just want to state that my time in New York was nothing but positive. I definitely think that there are similarities in New York. There are certain areas that are very similar to London, like East London and Southall. There's this energy taking the subway, which is similar to taking the London Underground. You definitely can feel that it's a hustle and bustle city. It's quite expensive. Renting apartments, buying a house is expensive, and you can sort of see the hustle just to survive and live in New York. But at the same time, everything's so connected and tight and close to each other, which is actually a contrast to other areas that I've seen in America, such as Atlanta and even in Miami somewhat. I definitely enjoyed my time in New York, and I can't wait to possibly live there in the future, or perhaps stay there much more long term. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe and stay tuned to more videos.